Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Flaming Phoenix. I'm here today with something a little different. Never done this before, but it should be fun. I'm here with a deck profile for Yu-Gi-Oh!, the actual card game, not one of the video games this time. And I want to talk about my Neo-Spacian deck. Neo-Spacians have never been good in the card game. Let's be real, it's something we're all aware of. But they've received support over the past couple years, and I think I've made a deck that's almost playable, at least in casual play. Tournaments are a whole nother beast. I honestly don't believe that Neo-Spacians will ever be good enough to compete in tournaments. But nonetheless, I've kind of shuffled my deck up here. So we should have some. So I'm gonna like show you what a sample opening hand would be like. Kind of explain some of my combos, how the deck works overall. So we're gonna start off with our usual 5 cards. Now, we always hope for going second, but life is not always great like that. So, really, we have a couple of big things here. The first is to get out the spell card Neo-Space. I'll actually pull that from the deck here just to show you. If you don't know, hey, it's top deck. This card gives your Neo-Spacian fusion monsters an extra 500 attack. It also gives Elemental Hero 500 attack. But that doesn't matter. Let's be real. At this point in the card game, attack points are not as important as power over the screen. Not screen. Sorry, just look at my laptop screen. As power over the field. This card stops your Neo-Spacian from being shuffled into the deck at the end of your turn, which is their biggest weakness. So that's card number 1. We're going to place it in our field spell over here, even though we didn't draw it. Basically, you're always going to want some way to bring that out pretty early on in the game. Had we gone second, we would have drawn that, so we'd been fine. This is my personal favorite spell card and kind of the core of the entire deck. You can send 2 fusion materials from your deck to the graveyard or hand that for an elemental hero fusion monster that lists elemental hero Neos and uses 2 materials, one of which will be Neos. So I always go for Air Neos just because it's my favorite. It's impossible to attain card, but hopefully we'll get it soon enough. So like in this case, Neos, Air Hummingbird would go to the graveyard. The great thing about Air Neos is its effect. If you have less life points than your opponent, it gains attack equal to that difference. So you can easily create an unstoppable behemoth, especially if you're really far behind in the game. So that's great for comebacks. The main downside with Neos Fusion is that it's your final special summon for the turn. You can't special summon afterwards, but that's fine. Typically, you'll use that last in the combo. Along with Air Neos, you have about 5 other options. You have, 5 basic options, then we'll go into some of the others. We have Glow Neos. It has, you can destroy 1 face-up card your opponent controls, and then different effects occur based on that. Like it can't attack, or it can attack directly, something like that. It's good for field removal, but what's better for field removal, in my opinion, is this card, Elemental Hero Grand Neos. You can return 1 monster your opponent controls to its hand. Unlike Low Neos, which can't attack the turn you use that effect, if you return a monster, Grand Neos can still attack. Great way for clearing the board quickly. Well, relatively quickly, you can stomp out pretty powerful monsters. Then these 3 I do not use nearly as often. Aqua Neos, Flare Neos, and Dark Neos. I still run them because I like running as many as possible. Like Flare Neos, they're basically extensions of their basic Neo-Spacian form. So Grand Neos here is Neos plus Grand Mole. Air Neos Wingman is him plus Air Hummingbird. Let's see. Glow Neos is him plus Glow Moss. Dark Panther. Hold on, I have to find the other couple ones in here. Aqua Dolphin. And Flame Scarab. These are the 6 basic Neo-Spacian fusion monsters and the 6 basic Neo-Spacians. That the core of all of this is Elemental Hero Neos. You always need a Neos. Whatever you are doing with the deck, you need Neos. Now, we're going to quickly go through the rest of the extra deck here. So we have quite a few monsters here that require multiple fusion materials. Each of these requires Neos plus 2 Neo-Spacians. So you won't be able to bring this one out with Neos Fusion. Thankfully, there are some other ways you can get around that. We'll get back to that a bit later. I don't bring these cards out all that often. But these are going to be your big heavy hitters and game bosses. I kind of just go with whichever one I have the materials for at any given time. Then the rest of my extra deck, we have Divine Neos. Not really needed. It can gain the effect of monster in your graveyard, that like a Neo-Spacian Elemental Hero card. It's nice. Kind of just have it for show in my deck. You have Brave Neos, decent card. When he destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add a spell trap from your deck to your hand that lists Elemental Hero Neos in its text. Now, this guy can be brought onto the field with Neos Fusion. He can also bring Neos Fusion to your hand. So it's a quick way to. So he's a good way to easily bring back Neos Fusion. Those two go together pretty well. You got Marine Neos. You will never play this card, ever. If you're playing this card, in all reality, you're probably doing something wrong. He goes with these two, which are only special summoned by the spell card next. You're not going to want to use it. Once again, I like playing as many different cards as I can in my deck, so I do have these. They're basically Aqua Dolphin and Glow Moss with marginally better effects. It is not worth the amount of space it'll take in your deck to run them. And then Marine Neos is just an extension of Marine Dolphin. They are part of the Neos set thing. You can really throw in any extra deck monsters you want instead of those three, and I suppose Divine Neos as well. Throw in Link monsters, Xyz monsters, and like Divine Arsenal, Double A Zeus. Whatever floats your boat, that part of the extra deck is all up to you. The rest of them I would include. If Air Neos was any easier to acquire, I'd probably throw in a couple more of these personally. Now, so I have another Neos Fusion. Honestly, run a good couple of these. Because Neos Fusion does send so many cards to the graveyard, and you're going to end up with a ton of Neo-Spacians in your graveyard if you're doing this right. I have cards like Monster Reborn. See NEX, it goes with these two fellows. We have stuff like Foolish Burial, also sends them to the graveyard. The great thing about having Neo-Spacians in your graveyard is that you can use cards like Miracle Contact, shuffle Neo-Spacians and Elemental Hero Neos from your graveyard back into your deck. Unlike Neos Fusion, this is not limited to only 2 materials, so you can bring out any of these 5 as long as you have the materials in your graveyard, hand, or field. Miracle Contact is great. It's just a matter of having the materials you need, which is why I like Neos Fusion, because it quickly gets you any materials from your deck. We've got other great cards. EN Shuffle, you can summon a regular Neo-Spacian, and then shuffle it into the deck to bring out Air Neos from your deck. Sorry, this is getting a little crowded here. But really, a lot of these are designed to move through your deck and get out the cards you need. Next, it's a good card. Lets you special summon Neo-Spacians en masse. It's not perfect. It lets you bring them out from your graveyard to Contact Fusion. You won't need Polymerization with this deck because Neo-Spacian monsters are special in that if you have materials listed on the card on your field, you could just send them, shuffle them into your deck to special summon the fusion monster. It's great, easy, saves a bit of deck space without those fusion cards. I've got Ancient Rules to special summon Neos, get it onto the field quickly in the event you don't have something like Convert Contact and you need to do it the old-fashioned way. Even then, you could maybe switch out this card just because it's too slow for the modern game. That's really what this deck comes down to. It's not quite fast enough. However, to help with speed, we do have a couple cards that can help us. like Pot of Prosperity and Triple Tactics Talent. So, like Pot of Prosperity, I will typically banish the NEXT cards, Divine Neos, and maybe one or two of the super powerful 3 monster fusion cards. That works just fine. Once again, just get rid of whichever ones you're not actually going to use or you don't use as often. I mean, you guys know how Pot of Prosperity works at this point, I'm sure. Triple Tactics Talent, it's great because you get to draw 2 cards. Easily helps you move forward in the game, especially if your opponent plays Ash or something along those lines. Terraforming helps you bring out Neo-Space. Convert Contact, you can send a Neo-Spacian from your hand and deck to the graveyard, which is great for a card like Miracle Contact. Just saying. And then you get to draw 2 cards. It's all about getting the cards you need to your field, to your graveyard as soon as possible. That's what all these cards do. I also have Nibiru just because, it's a good card. It easily helps wipe out your opponent's board. And there is one final card I'm going to talk about today. Courtesy of Power of the Elements, it is Favorite Contact. This card is very, very nice. You can special summon a fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions a hero monster as material, ignoring its summoning conditions, by putting the cards on the bottom of the deck in any order, including from hand, field, graveyard, or banished. So pretty much anywhere except from your deck. But there's something really nice about this in that, it ignores the summoning conditions, which makes it a lot easier to bring out your more difficult monsters. And you also, it does not get returned to the extra deck at the end of your turn. Because that's one of the big weaknesses with the Neo-Spacian fusion materials, that they do get returned. I believe a couple of the newer ones don't get returned to the deck. Like, I think Chaos Neos doesn't get shuffled into the deck at the end of the turn. So it's not all the cards. Like, the newer ones tend to be better about not having that negative effect. The old ones, if you're playing Air Neos, if you're playing Grand Neos, Flare Neos, any of the blank Neos that involve 2 materials, those will all be shuffled back. And once again, you need Neo-Space. I cannot emphasize this enough. You want to avoid your cards being shuffled back into your deck. As long as you can avoid that, you can, if everything goes well, you can quickly get the movement flowing and bring out what you need. I hope this video was helpful. If there's anything you want me to elaborate on, I could definitely do a second video. I could do a couple testing hands if you guys want that. I'm here for your guys' Neo-Spacian needs. Thank you, everyone, and I hope this was of some help to you.